It has been an absolutely incredible year of Counter-Strike, so now we need to take a moment to reflect in our World Team of the Year. Joining me up here on the desk, we've got Matthew and Pimp as always, but Launders joining us up here. Great to have you.
I'm back, baby.
Launders!
I'm the one that's not dressed correctly, I think, for this desk.
I rate the shirt though. Did you get that? Was that in London or?
Yes, I got it in your hometown. Yeah.
Nice. London represents.
London
London is our city.
You've got a lot to offer.
Yeah, London is incredible. But also, we've had a lot of incredible Counter-Strike throughout 2022. Of course, our World Team of the Year. We've got 6 categories, 5 nominations in each. And this time, instead of Pimp letting you decide who's going to be winning, we've actually got some proper experts from some journalistic resources as well. We've got HLTV, Dust2, we've got Dot Esports as well. They've all decided who should be taking home the crown in each of our given categories. Matthew, I like that we've got these different categories to kind of decipher. I feel like, though, they're not necessarily limited, maybe as they were when Counter-Strike was first released. Obviously, AWP's very self-explanatory. You have to be playing with the AWP. But things like support, lurker, it's, you know, kind of up to interpretation how we're going to be viewing those.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I think there are some categories that are set in stone. We all know what an AWP is. We all know what an IGL is. And there are some that are a little bit more fluid, right? And I also don't think that any team now has a special role for a player and that is it. I mean, usually you can kind of see the pattern and the structure, but players have to be able to do multiple things to be your own. And also what I like about what's happening is that if the journalists have decided, we can just shit talk the decisions. We can disagree live on air. That's going to be great.
Yeah, Jacob's already said he's going to be doing
experts,
that.
yeah.
Real
experts.
Yeah, they're the ones that get the heavy stats, you know, get those articles out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Let's go into our first category. That is quite a strong one because it is going to be coach coming into things. We've got obviously 5 nominations. So that one is going to be Blade, Saw, Cyclone Groove, and Roban. Launders, I want to get your thoughts first of all. Any
If it's
standouts?
not Blade, I'm going to throw something.
You're going to throw Jacob's popcorn.
Wait, is that already reveal? Like, I'm going so fast. Just reveal after 8 seconds.
Okay, to high overview for Coaches of the Year. Results are the things that matter most for coaches. So it is Robin, in fact, actually.
Do you think that's how it's going to go, Jacob?
No, I don't think we truly know how much Robin actually has an say in FaZe Clan. We often hear about Kerrigan saying that he's the one leading the team on and off the server. I think Robin is more like a father figure. Of course, helping where help is needed, but I would also lean towards Blade. One thing I do want to say, though, you know, nothing against these 5 names, but I'm missing Exist just a little bit from Heroic right here. I think he could have been nominated. He has a fantastic year. Came in, again, always hard to say how much of an impact a coach had, but Exist, I feel like he deserves a nomination.
I think that's the key. I just want to say that's the key. It's such a black box for us as a lead coach, what he does. I mean, we either see through results, or we have the chance of having players hear about their coach, or the coach just steps in and answers a bunch of questions. And I think this is also where Blade has shocked a lot of people, impressed a lot of people, with like very down to earth, super logical in his choice. This is how we get to see. We can merely guess how coaches are actually behaving.
Yeah, very well justified answer from there, Matthew. Let's see who's going to be taking home the award of Coach of the Year in our World Team of the Year. Launders, you were correct. No throwing in here. It is Blade taking this one home. Thoroughly well deserved.
Everything's calm. It's all good. Yes, of course, even though Na'Vi didn't have the best year, they kind of had a more common Na'Vi year, which is very good, but not always the best. I think last year, of course, they were #1, but that's still attributed to Blade, and they continued on by having another very successful year in a much harder field.
Given all the circumstances that's going on within Na'Vi right now, you know, all the different obstacles they had to face, I still, Na'Vi have remained very, very competitive. They won tournament throughout the year as well, so I'll definitely give it to Blade as well. Trying to keep this team together in this day and age, not easy.
I think the most striking point was how they could plug in Electronic in Lisbon as an IGL and immediately win and destroy everybody. And that in itself is kind of a testament to the system that's in place, because had Electronic just been left with no GPS, no navigation system, oh, there you go, have fun, be the IGL, he would never have had that performance he had, and they would not have lifted the trophy. So that in itself was a great external outcome for Blade and his master.
Yeah, huge congratulations to Blade for absolutely incredible 2022. Let's move on to our next category. That is going to be the support of the year. We've got a choice between Perfecto, Intershus, Twist, and Esatag. A lot of different names coming into the ring for this one, Launders.
Don't send me in first, because I'm just going to say the name that everybody wants to hear.
I know.
But you don't
The Italian on the team. Perfecto, baby. It's got to be him.
Kind of has to be, right? Kind of has to be. But
I agree.
But that's also where we circle back to that conversation of who is extremely easily to categorize, I should say, and who is a little bit more fluid and all over the place. Because I mean, yeah, Twist, support of the year, like, all right, I guess. I mean, why is he categorized as a support according by our own definitions? Right? It's a bit complicated. Perfecto fits perfectly. He's basically the poster child of supportive role and how you're supposed to do it well. Interns fits that category. But why is Twist a support?
I know. When you think about support, it's these weird things. Sometimes it's an insult. It's the guy who has the worst stats as support. We look at splash assist as one of the most important ratings. And then also, normally, small site players end up being support players. So that's another... It's hard to pin it down if you're not watching Counter-Strike every day, but those are two things I think that stand out the most.
I do want to give a massive shout out to Shoes, though. I feel like Perfecto, we all agree that he's the perfect fit for this role, but Shoes is like the prodigy of Perfecto, right? It's a slightly, I wouldn't even call it a weaker version of Perfecto. To this day and age, I feel Shoes is up there with the very best supportive elements to a team, and that's the way I would phrase it. Sure, you can be a support player, but more often you're just a supportive element to a team. Some maps you have a bigger role, some maps you have a less supportive role, but Shoes, I feel like he's really done a good job this year making it a fight against Perfecto.
Who's the next heroic player that you're going to shout out in the third category, Pim?
He's making all of them. We're getting there. Cajun's going to get one.
Maniac, can I get another beautiful drum roll, please? Because it is time to
Beautiful drum roll?
Support of the year.
Let's go.
It could only be Perfecto coming in clutch with the support of the year, as we always frame him at you. A must if you're in those HLTV fantasy drafts as well.
Definitely.
Very great value for money, and he's looked great throughout training.
And yeah, listen, one way to look at or to conceptualize support is that Perfecto is a player who's given almost nothing and he's providing everything. That to me is a support. You're not being put in a position to shine. Sometimes you have to be patient. You're playing some ingrate clutches towards the very end. But anyway, when faced with these situations, you grab them, you win them for your team, and Perfecto is the man. He's strong as an anchor, he's strong as a clutcher. It's basically the old package when it comes to being a supportive element.
Yeah, and he has good clutch stats that back that up. When he first joined the team, first 4 months, he was like #1 player in the world in those. If you go 9-8 on the B side of Mirage, you did good, kid.
You did good. That was a good time.
Yeah, and that's something to point out, that the stats won't always show it, but when you watch the matches, he's dodging the flashes on upper side on Nuke. He's winning a lot of the clutches when he has to rotate to the big site. And yeah, I'll go with Na'Vi, you go with Heroic, okay?
I still think Perfecto is the best support player, but I think Shoes has done a good job.
Yeah, let's move on to see our lurkers of the year coming into things in our third category. That's going to be a choice between Rops, BlameF, Spinks, K-Serato, and Hunter. Matthew, any standout names in this category?
I mean, BlameF is a very easy standout just because of how we've been stereotyping his game plan as well. But I think low-key, K-Serato is a very good shout. I think we've seen, obviously, in Rio, there's a bit of a recency bias, but in terms of input and what he does with late-round situations, I think he's an absolute god as well. But I do wonder if BlameF has just shocked everybody's mental for so long time now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can dethrone him.
Well, let's see who's going to be taking home Lurker of the Year.
Roll.
It is actually going to be Rops taking this one home. Kind of makes sense when you're looking at his accolades throughout 2022. He has had a great year.
Yes, he has a great year, and he's ending really strong, too, here at the World Final. One of the most standout players, for sure. His T-side rating through the roof, as was pointed out by you guys on the desk. And I think he's sort of evolving. I think he's still a hard lurker, but not in the way that it becomes insulting, like we talk about with support players as well. Sometimes we talk about Spinks lurking a little bit too hard sometimes, or BlameF. We're not sure if the impact is resulting in rounds one. With Rops, we see the results directly on top of good stats. He bailed them out and got them to the opportunity to lose to G2 in the semifinal. So you can thank Rops for that match.
I feel he's one of those few players where opponents always know where he's on a map, but he will still find success, right? They always prepare for him. They always know what he's going to do. We can almost forecast it every single round that he's going to be passive, that he's going to be lurking, yet he still finds success. So the fact that everyone is aware of what he's doing and he's still good at it, very impressive.
Yeah, we're going to move on to our next category. That is going to be the entry of the year. That's my favorite category as part of the whole W Nation. Absolutely love to see that. The choices in this category are going to be Yakinda, Nico, Rain, Electronic, and Axel. Quite a diverse range of names coming into things.
I can't just yell like an ape.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's like the hardest category we've had so far, I feel like, to decide immediately.
Yeah.
Because we all know that like the numbers from Yakinda are kind of out of this world in terms of attempt and finding success, but there are definite candidates in here. Axel for his individual performance that year, Rain for the success that he's had with the team.
Yeah.
And Nico is always going to be Nico.
To make it even more muddy, 3 of these players are going to be in the top 10 on an individual level this year as entries as well. Of course, Kinder had an amazing year. I think the argument for him is that he did it on 2 different rosters. Axel stuck with Cloud9. They were incredible, and his stats are really comparable to Yakinder's. And then Nico is one who's just kind of the same player, just as good, and that's already still in that top 5 to top 7 range.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Nico is a little bit of everything, whereas Yakinda is a specialist in the entry game. Right? We always talk about him having these insane attempts every single tournament. He's like a specialist in the field, where I feel Nico, he can lurk, he can entry, he can do it all, so it's hard to categorize it.
Yeah, definitely a hard category to decipher. So let's see who's taken home entry of the year. Of course, it did have to be Yakinda. He has had some absolutely disgusting numbers throughout the duration of the year. And Launders, I love that you put it like that. The fact that he's been able to do that on 2 different styles of rosters.
Yeah, and with Liquid, he's not only been the same player, but he's made the team better as well. So carrying forward that Jame wisdom onto a new NA lineup and doing the impossible. And now right here in a grand final here at the World Final, a lot of that has to do with this Yakinda roster move.
Yeah, I would make a comparison with Perfecto in a supportive role. He has become what an Entry is, I think, in people's mind in general. He's occupying that space. Now we think of Entry, you look at Yakinda, and I think it's a honorable and justified award that he gets.
The fact that now he's on a grand stage and potentially going to be lifting his first Tier 1 trophy, that's amazing. What a redemption arc.
He's a talisman for Team Liquid, as you said. He came into the team, and not only did he start to play better and better as well, the team is growing, the team is trending upwards. All that wisdom from Jame, all that wisdom from European Counter-Strike almost, being brought into NA Counter-Strike, it's worth its own weight in gold. And I will argue as well, not only as an Entry player, but as the secondary voice within Team Liquid, I always call him like the secondary in-game leader. We always see whenever there's a timeout in Liquid, he's talking a lot, he's guiding a lot, he offers so much value to the team.
Well, you speak of in-game leaders. Let's see who's up for nomination in the category. Of course, 5 players. It's going to be either Karrigan, Snappy, Kaden, Jame, or Nafani. I think this is quite a hard category to actually even narrow down from the duration of this year, because all of these names on our screen, they've had some amazing moments, but I think one probably stands out above the rest, Matthew.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're looking at success and what he's been able to do with his team, Karrigan has no counterpart that can challenge him this year. But again, if you're thinking of individual performances, you could argue Jame has had a crazy year individually. Kaden has been, I mean, Kaden and Jame, for example, have been posting regularly way better number than Karrigan.
Yeah,
definitely.
And both.
But exactly, that's not how you quantify a leader.
Exactly,
Only. It's not just individual, it's what your team is doing. And for that, I don't think anyone challenges Karrigan.
Yeah, and I was just going to support that. And both of those guys have this interesting argument of Kaden onboarded Yabby onto the team and now has the best roster that we've seen. And a lot of people called into question if they should cut Refresh, and they survived that. Jame has had to replace Yakinder and won a major. And he got fame on as a guy who installed Faceit like a few years ago and now was like in the running for MVP of the event itself. So 1 trophy, 1 major, and Jame is the consistent factor for outsiders throughout the year.
I'll try not to be biased here, but I'm just noting there's 3 Danes in this chat, right? We have a proud history in Denmark for producing in-game leaders. The fact that Glaive is not even there, well, speaks volume to how much Astralis have sucked throughout the year, but there's so much talent.
Found a way to dig Astralis.
I had to.
It's always got to come back to the Dane for you, hasn't it, Jacob? You're a Dane yourself. You also play for Liquid too, didn't you?
I'm a proud Dane. I did used to play for Liquid, didn't I?
Did you know that, Launders?
Yeah. It's better. It's great times these days.
Well, I believe a Dane will be taking it home, so let's take a look. Of course, it had to be Karrigan taking this one home. As you kind of perfectly prefaced, Matthew, obviously, you know, the fragging ability, that's not what we're looking at necessarily when we're awarding an in-game leader award for the year. And Karrigan, so many trophies added to his cabinet this year.
Yeah, you're right. And even in the individual department, I would argue that in the trophies that FaZe actually lifted, this is the moment where Karrigan stepped up individually. And he's mentioned it in plenty of interviews. He realized he had to focus a little bit more on himself. And just when we stand at the desk and we talk about the woes and tribulation of a team, losing, disappointing people, handling the expectations, I always feel like the leader is the kind of the one that has to deal with all of that. Like, if you are Karrigan and you show up in Dallas and you lose, people are pointing the finger at you. When you fail at the major, we're looking at you. We're saying this is your failure. And as a result, I'd say he's had a tremendous year. And he's had the most successful he's had, even though he's been playing Counter-Strike as a pro for about decades now. That was his year.
He finally got his major. I think that's what I'm leaving this year with for Karrigan. He's been around for a long, long time. The fact that he took Mouse with a very weak lineup to be the best team in the world, winning Pro League a couple of years ago, that was tremendous. The fact that he had Astralis as well in the beginning, taking them to a place where they weren't chokers anymore, tremendous job. But this FaZe project, the fact that he won the major, Cologne, Katowice, it's been a stellar year for Karrigan.
Yeah, and he was talking in an interview saying, you know, despite obviously Rio, that was a blip for the entire team. He notes that as well. But getting to the grand final in Copenhagen, you know, not making it too shabby here either. He's proud of what the team have achieved, and I think that's totally apt.
Yeah, it's pretty much Rio's just the one sore spot, but on both sides of that, he's had major success. And even with that lull, there's no other team that even came close to achieving the same thing that FaZe did this year. So hats off to Karrigan, his best year, and we got to watch it.
Well, I lied earlier on, gentlemen, because this is my favorite category, the 6th and final one. It's going to be the AWP Player of the Year. We've got Simple, Zywu, Shiro, Manasi, and Brokey as the selection. This is kind of tough when we're looking at all of these names. I mean, is there a standout?
There is a paradox in this category because it's at the same time the one that has the most exceptional players, I feel like, of all, but also the one that is the most clear-cut as well. That's how weird it is. Like, anyone challenge Simple in there? You gonna go ahead and give it to anyone else but Simple?
Well, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be you.
Exactly. Like, I'm here, I'm ready, and you're not hearing his name coming out of me. I can say. Sorry. I can't say it. It's as simple. I can't.
Can you say it, Launders?
I can't. Can you say it, Pimp?
No.
You see, we cannot physically.
Should we just announce who the Orper of the Year is? The GOAT himself, it is Simple, taking home the Orper of the Year in our World Team of the Year. Of course, some stellar names going alongside him, but Simple, yeah, just head and shoulders above the rest, Launders. He's always a force to be reckoned with. Consistency in Counter-Strike, that's the key.
He's still the bar. He's still the best player. There were rumors that he wasn't even trying this year and still managed to be the most unreal player that, like, everybody is still learning from every day.
But let's be honest, right? Even though we all agree that Simple deserves to win this category, I feel like the 4 others have made the race closer, sorry. Yeah. I talked about Monis, you know, coming into next year. He can be a candidate, I feel, to be the best AWPer, maybe even the best player in the world as well with the way he's playing right now. I think Shiro had a fantastic showing at the major despite the team choking a little bit. All these AWP players...
You're going to mention Zywu? Yeah, please. Yeah, like, when are you going to mention Zywu?
Right?
Is it coming, or...?
It's been very close this year. Even though we agree Simple, I feel like a couple of events more this year where Simple is having a bit of a slow showing. Zywu stepping up, we're going to have a different conversation.
He's opening the discussion. That's what has been happening in the last few months. He's been exceptional instead of extraterrestrial. Simple has just been exceptional, and now we have a conversation. Let's have this desk again in 2 months and see where we're at.
Matthew, I'm going to throw you under the bus with this one, because coming into this tournament, you were saying, you know, if Zywu, if he makes it to the grand final, if Simple bombs out, do we have a discussion about the best player?
Yeah, well, he didn't now, did he?
He didn't, no.
Where's Zywu? Can you just point that to me? Where is now?
He's on the plane.
He's not.
He's gone.
So there is no conversation,
no, there is
because he isn't.
I'm trying.
I can throw you a bone. At least from his rookie year until now, he's averaged top 2.
I know, and he will continue to do so. That's going to be still a crazy stat line to have.
You can sleep well at night knowing that.
Yeah, I think we can actually bring up all of our 6 winners now that we have crowned them to see, is this actually a legitimate team? I mean, I would love to see this team go down on a stage, but
I think
could
this
this
team would
actually
have an era.
work?
I think last year we did this, and the team we weren't exactly sure. I don't see a problem, like, role-wise or anything with this roster.
No, actually don't.
I think they just win right away, no matter what language they speak.
Why do we do that? Do we pool our wages for the whole event? We try and buy them out? We do like a crowd fund or something? I don't really know how.
I feel like maybe there's a bit too many voices within that team, right? Kerrigan, Yekindar, Blade, Simple for that matter. There's a lot of people who have to agree on certain stuff. I think that's going to be a little bit tough.
A lot of big brains.
Don't even join TeamSpeak. You're going to win.
Matthew, more important question to you is, you are the psychology major. Would you be the esports psychologist for this team?
Oh, you know, for the right amount of money.
Yeah.
Right amount.
Your name is Price.
You got my
the
email.
price is right, according to you as well, Matthew.
There's always a discussion to be had. I never
think about the
refuse an
sticker
offer.
money. Think about the sticker money this team will make.
It's always about the money for you, Jacob. There are other things in life, okay? You have to love Counter-Strike. It's not always about the money. Come on, man.
Right, we need to for the right amount of money.
We need to design a logo. We've got to design a T-shirt.
Out of both sides of their mouth, huh?
Get a name going. Jacob, that's a challenge for you over the Christmas break. Try and sign all these players and create an organization.
What would the org be called?
I have no idea. I have no idea. You got an idea?
Pimp Love Club?
Yeah.
Pimp Love Club. Oh my God. All
the hearts everywhere. Launders, thank you for joining us up here. It's been a pleasure to have you. You looking forward to the grand final as well?
Yeah, this is, I mean, because no matter what happens, we get amazing narratives. I'm not going to spoil them. The desk will take those, but it's going to be good no matter what.
Yeah, we've got plenty of time to be diving into them. For you, for your money, who have you gone with in the predictions? Who's going to be lifting the trophy?
I actually think, can I spoil something? I think Liquid, because of the veto banning so that is, you know.
I mean, it's not a spoiler,
on it.
Get out of here, get out of here. There we go. And he's gone. Well, thank you, Launders, for joining us. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for diving into our World Team of the Year. As Launders was just prefacing, it's going to be G2 taking on Liquid in the coveted grand final. We're going to be back with all the action after this break.